what is the right way to heal? As the sister said, what is the right way to heal? Well, here's how I'm going to discuss this. I'm going to talk about there's certain things that we can do to facilitate healing. And there's certain things we can do to sabotage healing. We actually, without knowing it, we engage in behaviors that stop healing and actually make it worse. And so I want to talk about what are those behaviors that sabotage healing and what are the behaviors that can facilitate and speed up healing. Okay? Let's start with this analogy. When you get a gunshot wound, there's two extreme ways to deal with this. The first is take a Band-Aid, cover it up, and say, what wound? I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. What's going to happen to that wound that you never treated and just covered up with a Band-Aid? It will actually get infected. And now you could die of that infection. But wait, I thought time heals all wounds. Why isn't it healing? See, we have this idea that when we're in pain, you pop a painkiller, right? Paracetamol, right? You numb it, and it'll just go away. Right? You put a Band-Aid on it, and it'll just go away. Right? Isn't that what we do with our problems? Why? Because, of course, you have to appear perfect. So if you have a problem, or you have a problem in your family, you have a problem within yourself, maybe it's a problem, something you're struggling with your own mental health, whatever it is, we think, okay, just cover it up, numb it, and it'll go away because time heals all wounds. But what is time doing to that gunshot wound that you never treated? Anyone? Like you said, it becomes infected and you can die of that infection. Time does not heal wounds that are not addressed. You have to treat the wound. You can't get a gunshot wound and not clean it out, see a doctor, go to the hospital. You have to get it treated, and then time will heal it. But you have to address the wound. This is one of the hardest things for people. Especially, and I know where I am, especially in certain cultures. There are certain cultures that are more hush-hush about your problems. You sweep it under the rug. Don't let anyone know that you're having a problem. You have to appear perfect. Your marriage has to appear perfect. Your children have to appear perfect. Make sure that people don't know. Because what are people going to say? Honestly, we worship what people say. You want to talk about worship? That's worship. You want to talk about La ilaha illallah, right? What does that mean? La ilaha illallah means that there is nothing at the center of my existence other than God. Okay, that has a lot of implications of saying La ilaha illallah. It means that's what you care about most. It means that's why you live your life the way you do. Because you're worried about what Allah is going to say about you. But we don't care about that. We're worried about what our neighbor is going to say about us, what our relative is going to say about us, what our friends are going to say about us. And it's almost like this weird obsession. And we teach it to our children knowing. We pass it on. Live your life based on what people are going to say. Do this because people will say. Don't do this because people will say. That's worship. And that's it. That type of worship will make you live like a slave. Always to the opinions of others and what other people are thinking, what other people are going to say about you. So that's part of the oppression that we actually put on ourselves and on our families. I've heard of cases where a woman could be abused. She's actually being abused. And her own family says to her, no, go back. What are people going to say? That is absolute slavery. That you will subject your daughter, even, to abuse just so people won't call her what? Divorce? Like the scarlet letter, right? The D. weird. That's oppression. That's oppression. But why does that happen? Why does that happen? When we have the wrong focus. We're living our lives for the wrong. We're living our lives for the wrong reasons. We're living to show off to people. We act and we don't act based on what people are going to say and how people are going to view us. That shift, there has to be a shift. That's how you free yourself. You know, when the man came to the companion, or the companion came to the people to tell them about Islam, he said, I've come to free you from the slavery to the slave and bring you to the slavery of the Lord of the slave. It's a liberation from this slavery to what people think and what people are going to say. So this is extremely important. This concept of, living my life for the wrong reasons, and what are people going to say about me? So what you have to do is you have to guard the way you think. You have to guard the doors to your thoughts. So how can we deal with this? How can we heal faster? This covering up of our wounds, it doesn't make them go away. And it can actually become worse as the gunshot wound becomes infected. So we have to start addressing our problems. They don't go away by ignoring them. There's something else I want to say. First, let me just talk about the other extreme, and then I want to mention something about ignoring our problems. The other extreme of when you, so when you have a wound, how do you heal? The other extreme is, okay, the scab is there, you've started to heal, and what do? You keep picking it. You keep picking the scab. You keep picking the scab. Every time it heals over, you pick it. Is it ever going to heal that way? So sometimes we sabotage our own healing by ignoring it, by trying to numb it, but sometimes we do the opposite. We sabotage our healing by picking the scab. What does that look like? Well, stalking your ex, for example. See, you need to be pressing the block button. Why? Because that's picking the scab. When something happened that is painful and you keep replaying it, and you keep replaying it, that's picking the scab. Now I understand, sometimes people, maybe they can't help it. They have PTSD and they need help. And that's exactly what they should do, is they should go and they should get help to address that wound so that they can stop replaying it. Because the replaying of it doesn't allow you to heal. Alright? So, sabotaging healing. First, picking the scab. Reminders, constant reminders. Right? You're trying to move on and you keep reminding. Well, one of the ways we do this practically is that we follow what someone is doing online. When that's a wound you need to leave alone. Okay? Reminders of that trauma. And you replay them. This woman that I said, whose daughter got in an accident, you know what the third thing she mentioned was? She mentioned 3 things for resilience. I mentioned the first 2. The first was about your expectations. The second had to do with what you focus on. And the third was, she would ask herself, is this behavior helping me or hurting me? Is this behavior helping me or hurting me? So she found herself one day, for example, looking through photos of her daughter. And she just kept looking through the photos. And she stopped and she said, is this helping me or hurting me? You see? And she said, you know what, it's time to go to sleep for the night. So monitoring your behaviors and see, is this beneficial for me? Is this hurting me? Is this helping me? Is this helping my healing? Is this good for me to be looking at this profile right now or to be following all of this? Is that good for me? Or is it hurting me? So keeping track of them.